After 3 years of marriage, his first wife had not given him a child. The moment he learned that the woman he was secretly seeing was pregnant, he discarded her without hesitation. To Greg, this was not betrayal, it was efficiency. For years, Greg had pursued wealth with ruthless discipline. Through trade and investment, he secured his fortune. With success achieved, he turned to his second conquest, a family. At 40, he married Cheryl, a woman of 35, whose beauty and intelligence impressed his peers as much as they pleased him. Time, however, became his enemy. Each month that passed without a pregnancy deepened his bitterness. His disappointment curdled into contempt. Respect gave way to impatience, then to quiet disgust. With every menstrual cycle, his desire for Cheryl ebbed, replaced by irritation and blame. To Greg, children were not a gift but a requirement. A man without heirs was incomplete, and worse, vulnerable to ridicule. In his mind, patience was weakness, and indulgence a lie men told themselves to avoid failure. Cheryl's loyalty, tenderness, and endurance became invisible to him. He stopped listening to her, stopped noticing her, and then began to diminish her. He questioned her worth in cutting remarks, dissected her flaws aloud, and turned his regret into punishment. What he once admired, he now resented. He sought elsewhere what he believed had been denied him. Affairs became routine, almost justified in his mind. Then a younger woman, Annika, told him she was pregnant. The news ignited a fierce, vindicating joy. It confirmed everything he wanted to believe. In his triumph, he did not ask how, when, or with whom else. The proof was enough. Annika was neither as beautiful nor as intelligent as Cheryl. Greg knew this. It did not matter. He was no longer searching for character, virtue, or companionship. He wanted children. Any woman capable of giving him heirs was sufficient. Fertility eclipsed all other qualities. The making of children became, in his mind, the only purpose of marriage. His decision came swiftly and without remorse. With a prenuptial agreement firmly in place, Greg resolved to throw out Cheryl and move in Annika. He did not wait for morning. In the dead of night, he woke Cheryl and told her to leave. "Cheryl," he said calmly, almost courteously, "I told you I wanted a wife and children. You have not delivered. I am 43. I cannot wait any longer. You need to leave my house now." She stared at him, stunned, then fell to her knees before him. "Please, Greg," she begged, "let us see a doctor. Let us try everything. Do not destroy our marriage. I love you." How many women would sign a prenuptial agreement without hesitation? If we cannot have children, we can adopt. She lifted her head then, her voice steadier than before. "I married you to build a life," she said. "Children are part of that, not the price of entry." For a moment, silence hung between them. Greg's face hardened, his patience thinning as the words settled and failed to move him. "Adopt," he repeated, as though she had spoken something obscene. "I want my own biological children." Cheryl reached for his hand, trembling. "Please," she whispered, "we can work this out. Whatever needs to be done, we can do it. We made vows before God and man. Let us honor them solemnly. Let us have faith and continue to pray. Do not do this." But in Greg's mind, his prayer had already been answered. He pulled his hand away with a sharp motion. "We can do this the easy way or the hard way," he said coldly. "Leave, now." He did not ask where she would go. He did not care. One by one, he dragged her bags to the door and threw them outside. When she tried to speak again, he closed the door in her face. Cheryl was gone. Greg slept soundly, convinced he had chosen progress over weakness. By morning, Annika had moved into the house. By noon, Cheryl's mother called. Greg refused to listen. He did not want counsel, sympathy, or solutions. Not from a doctor, not from a counselor, not from a family member. His decision was final, immovable. He told her to save her breath. "I hope God is on your side," she said quietly before ending the call. Greg smiled to himself. He believed God already was. At last, there was a child on the way. At last, he felt chosen. The blessing did not last. It soon revealed itself as something else entirely. Annika was nothing like Cheryl. She spoke easily about money and treated it as something that would always appear when needed. When she imagined the future, it arrived fully furnished. A bigger house, private schools, a life financed but never built. Greg began to notice that effort never appeared anywhere in her expectations. She had no career, no ambition, no interest in work of any kind, and contributed nothing to the household. She did not cook. She did not clean. She barely moved. Pregnancy became her permanent excuse. She slept through mornings, lounged through afternoons, and spent hours scrolling on her phone. The device never left her hand. The house fell into neglect, and she seemed unaware of it. When Greg finally complained, irritation breaking through his restraint, Annika laughed softly. It was not a harsh sound. It was light, almost playful. She turned toward him, resting a hand on her belly, her lips curving into a slow, knowing smile. Then she stepped closer, lowering her voice as if sharing a secret. "You forget," she said gently. "I am pregnant. I am carrying your son." She took his hand and placed it against her stomach. The warmth, the promise, the imagined future silenced him at once. Her touch lingered just long enough to soften his resolve. She looked up at him through lowered lashes, her expression tender, practiced. "You worry too much," she added. "This is a special time. You should be patient with me." The frustration drained from him, replaced by pride. He nodded, ashamed of his complaint. In that moment, he convinced himself that indulgence was love and silence was sacrifice. Annika watched him carefully as he retreated, satisfied. She knew exactly which words to use and when to use them. The words silenced him. He had wanted proof of his manhood. Now it ruled him. As always, Greg accepted her excuses. He convinced himself that everything would change after the birth. From what he had read, pregnancy altered women in many ways, and he clung to that belief. Throughout her pregnancy, he treated Annika like royalty. He indulged her demands, excused her indifference, and elevated her condition to something sacred. He worshipped the idea of fatherhood, and by extension, the woman carrying his child. After their son was born, the illusion collapsed. Annika did not change. She grew more careless, more entitled. Her interest extended only to spending money. She spoke endlessly about marriage but refused to sign a prenuptial agreement. Greg recognized the danger too late. She lacked discipline, purpose, and the most basic domestic instincts. For 4 years, the child received care only from Greg and a hired nanny. Sometimes, when the boy laughed, Greg felt no recognition at all. Annika remained largely absent, physically present but detached, uninterested in motherhood beyond what it could extract. Still, Greg hoped for more children. He waited, he prayed. Nothing came. The house that was meant to echo with life remained hollow, and the man who had destroyed one marriage for heirs now found himself with a single child and a woman who gave him nothing more. One morning in Port Antonio, Greg turned onto William Street and saw her, Cheryl. She was pushing a stroller, its small occupant wrapped in white. The sight stopped him mid-step. For a moment, his mind rushed for explanations. A sister's child, perhaps. A favor. Anything but the truth. He straightened his shoulders and walked toward her, confidence returning by habit. "Hey," he said, "how are you doing?" Cheryl slowed, then stopped. Her hands tightened on the stroller handle. She inhaled slowly, as if steadying herself, then looked up at him. There was no fear in her eyes, only calm. "I suppose," she said carefully, "after our divorce was legally finalized 3 years ago, after remarrying a loving and devoted husband over a year ago, and after giving birth to my son 3 months ago, I'm doing quite fine. Thank you for everything." She did not sound triumphant. She sounded finished. Each word landed with deliberate precision. Greg felt the air leave his chest. His mouth opened, but nothing came. The story he had built for years collapsed in seconds. He watched as she moved past him, the stroller rolling smoothly ahead, the morning sun catching on her hand. The ring, it gleamed, unmistakable. Cheryl did not look back. Her steps were steady, her posture unburdened. As she walked away, she felt something she had not expected. Not triumph, not bitterness, only release. The man who had reduced her to failure now stood frozen behind her, smaller than she remembered. Greg remained rooted to the asphalt. The woman he had cast out, convinced she was barren, was now a mother. The proof lived and breathed before him. The moment clung to him like a specter. It followed him long after she disappeared down the street, whispering a single, unbearable truth. He had been wrong. With time, Greg began to notice small things. The boy's features did not mirror his own. The eyes, the bone structure, and the expressions felt foreign. At first, he dismissed the unease as paranoia. Still, doubt settled in and refused to leave. Quietly, without telling Annika, he took the child for a DNA test. The results arrived after 4 years of care, sacrifice, and belief. They struck him like a physical blow. He was not the child's biological father. Grief and rage collided inside him. Without pause or reflection, he expelled both Annika and the boy from the house. He did not listen to explanations. He did not allow tears. The same door he once shut on Cheryl closed again, just as mercilessly. Yet the result itself was not what destroyed him. What haunted Greg most was memory, Cheryl's face, her pleas, the night he had reduced her to nothing and cast her out for failing to give him a child. He recoiled at the irony. The woman he condemned had gone on to give birth to another man's son, while he had raised a child who was never his. Disgust turned inward, doubt followed. Seeking certainty, Greg finally submitted himself to testing. The truth arrived without ceremony. His sperm count was so low that conceiving a biological child would require something close to divine intervention. The revelation hollowed him out, and for the first time, Greg understood what he had destroyed with Cheryl. He had cast aside a woman who would have remained by his side even in the face of his oligospermia. A woman who had offered compassion instead of blame, partnership instead of pride. A wife who had been willing to build a family through love rather than biology, to adopt children when nature denied them their own. He had mistaken devotion for inadequacy and patience for failure. Now, with the truth laid bare, the weight of that loss pressed on him without mercy. Everything he had destroyed had been built on a lie. The cruelty, the arrogance, the certainty. He had not been denied fatherhood by fate or by women. He had been denied by his own body. Surrounded by what he had built, he lived with the quiet certainty that everything he truly needed had been destroyed by his own preconceived beliefs. When pride and rigid beliefs define a person's sense of worth, compassion becomes expendable, love is reduced to utility, and partnership becomes conditional. In pursuing legacy through control and ego, genuine companionship can be destroyed, leaving behind not what fate denied, but what was willingly discarded. If you enjoyed this story, show some love by liking, commenting, and subscribing to Word, Sound, and Story, where Troy McKenzie transforms real-life experiences into meaningful, dramatic, and engaging tales. Thanks for watching. Drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. Bless up.